How's every... You know, and the other... Oh, careful now. You never know. When shadow ninjas will be in the studio behind you. I got them all. Now, back to what I was saying earlier. Have you ever been running really late for an appointment? Really late. I'm talking about you're already late, but you don't want to come to terms with it, and you're thinking maybe they haven't switched from daylight savings yet. Maybe they're observing some sort of Mayan time, but by the time you get there, you find out, no, their clock is actually even faster than yours, and you're late. My friends and I, we were looking for an apartment right out of college, as you do, and we went to one place, and we saw some fellas, dapper looking, standing outside the apartment building. And we're all just standing outside. We're waiting to meet the landlord, and I think they are too. And they ask us, what do you guys do for work? And at the time I said, I'm a park ranger. And we asked, what do you do for work? And the guy sticks his leg up on this nearby sedan, takes his sunglasses off and says, cold case homicide. Now that's a true story. We got a great show for you this evening, folks. A great show. We have artist and illustrator Mark Marderosian, creator of The Magical Attic and Delta 10 Lady Cop. All right, folks, we'll be seeing you in just a few minutes with our guest, Mark Marderosian. I'll be back. Got a great show for you this evening. We have none other than author and illustrator Mark Marderosian. Hello.
Hey, Zach.
How are you, Mark?
Great to be here.
Excellent,
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for coming. I mean, they love you, man. They love you. As an illustrator, what was your first professional job?
Oh, the first I was sending out what they call the one-panel gag cartoons of like the kind you see like Family Circus where it's just one drawing and with the caption underneath.
Right.
I was sending that out to different magazines, and a magazine devoted to guys that do blueprinting all day.
Yeah.
I sold that to them for $10. That was my first sale.
Nice.
And that was a lot of fun. And I was just getting that check in the mail for $10 was like, I thought that was all the money in the world. It was great.
That's like $40, $50 now in today's money.
Today's money.
Was that the late 70s?
Yes, actually it was. It was exactly the late 70s.
Just a guess.
Yes, that was a good
Just
guess.
a guess.
Yeah, I mean, I fed the whole family on that $10.
Sure, yeah, inflation.
Yeah.
It happens.
But that was the start of it, that little encouragement. Of course, then I continued to get more and more rejections the more I mailed things out. But it's also a numbers game because then you just keep adding to your portfolio. That's
right.
It's like that in so many things. I don't care if somebody's doing real estate or they're working at in a bakery or whatever. They know better than I. It's a numbers game. Yeah. It's just constantly putting yourself out there and doing the best you can.
And every time you do it, you learn more about the craft.
Right.
You know, and you get better, even if you already are great. You're learning new things and doing new things that you might not have been doing before.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So that was a one-panel cartoon.
Yes. And then I started doing comic strips. And the comic strips, it was funny because I'd spent years reading comic strips in newspapers. And I never realized there is such a thing as writing humor. I didn't realize there is an art to it.
Yeah.
There's tempo. The first panel sets up the gag. The second panel gets to the transition and begins to provide the third panel's payoff. And it was like a 3-act play every day.
Right.
And that really began to realize, between that and the political cartooning, I began just through sheer repetition, understand that the less words you use, the funnier it can be. And that's like one tip that I began to realize. And how much brevity was really the soul of wit.
Now, what were the strips that you were working on at the time?
I was working on, I'm still working on now. At the time I was trying to get syndicated.
Yep.
And I was sending out strips like Dr. Gonzo or stuff like that.
Sure.
And none of those got picked up. And then the comic strip that I still have in the newspapers today called The Magical Attic
Yes, you're the creator of the Magical Attic.
Yes, that's been a lot of fun. I brought some comic strips on that.
Sure, yeah.
And like these are just the roughs for it.
And look at the size compared to how it is in the newspaper.
Yeah, it gets printed down to 1 inch by 3 inches, but it's like I brought these in to show because these are like the roughs, just to show you the stage that they're at. The Magical Attic appears in newspapers around the country through the Tribune Content Agency,
Amazing. And
it's a lot of fun. This, I had penciled it all out.
Yeah.
Then I did the inking here, and on the computer I'm writing it out. But as you can see, even after I'm drawing it, I'm still working out the pacing of the gag, and the same thing on this one. This is in the blue, and then I'm.
Oh, that's a one panel.
Yeah, it's total one panel, exactly.
Those are hard.
Yeah. Yep, they are, because it's all going to be in one sit. And, you know, where does the sound effect go? It also gets into design, because it's like, where does the sound effect go that won't interrupt the flow of the panel?
Right.
How do you add the word balloon here or here? Would that give it away too soon? You got to have somebody with their arms outstretched just to break it up a little bit. But I love it because it's like, you're like the director. You're setting literally setting the stage.
Yep, you left to right. How do you want it to look? So you're still making this.
Yes.
So this is on top of all the other work you're doing. You do.
Yeah, this is on a weekly basis.
A magic. Oh wow. So how in advance are you? Like a month, 2 months in advance?
Yeah, about a month. I'm about a month ahead, just because. Yeah, because they need it. The deadline is I have an every Monday deadline.
Yeah.
So I'm about a month in advance because I really don't want to get behind on these. Because then you start rushing and it shows up on the work. So I prefer to stay a month ahead.
How long has that strip been running? About 20 years or something?
No, about 12 years
12
now.
years. Wow,
Yeah.
that's
12 years.
I'd call that fantastic. That's long running.
These cute characters live up in an attic.
Yeah.
And it's magic. And through the doors of the attic lead to any kind of rooms and stuff.
Oh,
and they go,
cool.
so here they are. This is in the opera room, and it's a full-size opera.
Oh, I see.
And here they are in their regular attic. So it's a lot of fun that way.
That's weekly. Are those Sundays?
No, those are weekly.
Those are weeklies.
Yep.
Okay. Continuing story where, what's behind the door? And then the next.
I wish I could. Like right now, they're in the middle of their annual summer road trip, which is a full newspaper size. And
so that's like a Sunday.
Yeah, it is. It's exactly like a Sunday. It's in color. It's for 9 weeks, they go to different parts of the country.
Yeah.
Sometimes they go back in time and visit like a 1924 movie set.
Oh, cool.
And that part is really neat because it's like doing a small graphic novel every week for 9 weeks.
Wow.
But I can't do a continuity on the weeklies because sometimes newspapers will run them out of order. And so the ability to do a continuity isn't there. But I love doing the road trips.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun and educational too, I hope.
Even just in the way that the imagination is being shared.
Yes.
Because imagination is so important, especially right now, but it's so important.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
definitely.
You got to use it or you lose it. All comes from in here. And you know what I mean? It's crazy that it's where these ideas come from. And sometimes it feels like it's just happening.
Yeah, it's just happening. And that's where doing one's homework really comes into play because I find that the more one of the great things about the road trip was finding out how, when the Angels went back to Hollywood in 1924, was how much of the movies in that day had a thriving black culture, had a thriving industry in the movies. And I never knew this because unfortunately it just had not been picked up over the years in the history. And
kind of gets filtered out.
Yeah, it kind of got filtered out. Yeah. It was a shame because this one fellow just started this whole movie studio devoted to race relations. His films examined slavery, which at the time was, in 1920, was still obviously fresh in people's mind. Yeah. And this is the kind of research that one does that just propels you forward to, you put it all inside this blender and it comes out. And so you take everything that you put into your head, blend it together, and then you create another metaphor for it. And that's what, like the books I'm writing are. They're metaphors for something that I suddenly feel strongly about based upon my research. So I read about like banks and during the financial crisis, banks were foreclosing on people in 2008 and all that turmoil. And then by 2016, that's what that book that I just was holding, The Entrusting, was about. And it worked actually better by putting it in 1954 because then, despite the glow of the 50s, there was still a lot of turmoil going on underneath the surface.
Oh,
so, I mean, that's the kind of fun creative process that one can have just by keeping your mind open.
Right, because you never know where ideas are going to come from.
Exactly.
So you should not dismiss anything that you might think, well, that's not what I do.
Yes, right.
So I'm not going to do anything.
Oh, I like that. That's a great way to put it. Not dismiss anything.
Sure.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know what discipline or milieu is going to affect you.
Yes, exactly.
Can you talk about your time in animation?
Yes, animation was fun. That's actually how I got a lot of drawing practice in and learned a lot about motion and how characters move by working in a small animation studio in Boston with my good friend and colleague Bob. And so much of it was just a great experience because it was just like being at the Fleischer Studios in the 1930s.
Sure.
Small, hungry. We really were trying to make a splash and get our own identity, plus figure what we were learning along the way. We were making it up as we go along.
Right.
And at some point, an ad agency called us and asked us to do this commercial, 15-second animated commercial for McDonald's. And it was the first appearance, I'm sure everyone has seen them by now, of the Halloween pumpkin Happy Meals.
Yes. Yep.
And it was 1985, and we were the first. That was the first iteration of them, the first commercial of them, and we animated all these fish under the sea and introducing the. That was the first one. That was for a beach pail meal.
Yep.
And it was fish under the sea. They liked it so much they came back to us in September and gave us 3 weeks to do a 15 seconds worth of animation.
Say September. That's for a Halloween spot. That's real fast.
That was really fast. That was a quick turnaround. And those were the days where we were airbrushing on top of the cells. My buddy Bob was airbrushing on top of the cells, and we were painting the backs of them and animating them. And the day we would film it, there was a big tornado in Boston that day, and we just and the trick is that McDonald's had already bought the time on Saturday morning to run these Happy Meal pumpkin buckets, and they'd already bought the time. And they said, if you don't get these done, we're just going to have to run a black spin. It'll just be a black bar across the screen, and we'll be charging you for that time. So
it's a lot of Big Macs.
A lot of Big Macs.
It's a lot of Big Macs.
But we got it done in time. They loved it, and they came back to us for a third one, which was the beach ball. And working on animation was really a crash course. It was like getting thrown into the deep end of the pool about how do you get across gesture? How do you get across expression?
Right. Frank and Ollie from Disney, but the nine old men. Yep. You see them in the mirror, making all these faces. And even the animators now, how it's changed, but in some ways it hasn't, because they're still trying to capture, an extenuated version of what we do.
because human beings don't change, so our expressions are going to be. But it's learning those and getting them across within a split second in gesture and your expression. It has to be read immediately by the audience.
Right.
Yeah, animation was great. It was fun working in that field.
Did you do it on the 2s or on the 1s?
The McDonald's commercials were done on 1. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, your stuff. So because film runs through a camera at 24 frames a second.
Sure.
So for every single second was a 24 drawings.
Yeah, because
we normally worked on 2s, which means every other frame.
Right.
And that would get across, but it didn't look. It looked okay. I mean, most films you see now are done on 2s.
2s, yeah.
But we were nuts. We had to go for 24 drawings.
That really is like the early Fleischer and early Disney of, we're on the 1s and everything's going to be hand colored. And whoa.
Yeah. In 3 weeks. Crazy. That was nuts. That was a lot of late nights. Coming in on Easter Sunday and stuff.
Easter Bunny hadn't even arrived yet, and you were you were going in there.
That was for the summer one. We came in on Easter Sunday, and just kept plowing away. We made it though, all 3 times. That was really those projects were fun.
It's fun to have a deadline sometimes when you know, I can do this. Especially after the first commercial, you probably thought, I can do this. This is going to be a little crazy, but I got adrenaline, to finish this and do my best and learn something. Maybe, I don't know. You do each frame. So do you want to talk about Jessica Rabbit?
Yeah.
Can we talk about Jessica?
All the time.
Okay, so Jessica, I haven't talked with her in a long time. So
yeah, me neither.
Yeah. So I know I was watching.
She's not returning my phone calls.
I know. What is with that? She's put me on some sort of stalker list. Crazy. There was a store on Pleasure Island in Walt Disney World, and I recall that they had a sign. It was a Jessica Rabbit's. Did you draw that sign?
Yes, that 30-foot sign above Jessica. Yes, you're absolutely right. And on Pleasure Island was that they decided to open a store. Hard to believe, and this was amazing. Devoted entirely to Jessica Rabbit. Nothing but Jessica Rabbit merchandise inside. And I drew that 30-foot sign that hung above the store with their legs swinging back and forth. And then they reduced the artwork. And it went from 30 feet high to this high for a watch.
I wonder how often that happens. I bet that happens a lot.
I mean,
but it was
amazing.
How do you do the sparkles?
Those sparkles were cool. Those were lighted sparkles. But
okay.
Those were the days.
I mean, it's beyond impressive. The way I said, I was like, okay, I didn't know sparkles. Forget it.
No, those were the days where I was still airbrushing by hand with the old airbrushes, and I was adding the sparkles by airbrushing. But in that case, with the sign, it was done by lights and stuff.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it was insane how. Sometimes it pays not to know what you're doing and just go with the flow and do the best you can.
You don't know what to be afraid of.
Right, exactly.
So you just, I'll go fight the Minotaur, sure. I don't know what it looks like, but I'll go fight it.
Exactly.
Now, maybe you did, but I'm surprised that they didn't have you work on the Dick Tracy merchandise. Because that's what started you.
Oh, yeah, I love Dick Tracy. You like Dick Tracy?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, Chester Gould, that was so impressionistic what he was doing. It was great stuff.
Love it.
I mean, just so real and authentic.
Yeah.
And the Dick Tracy merchandise, that movie came out just before I came on board with Disney.
Okay.
Yeah. So that stuff was already set in place.
It's 1990.
Yeah.
Yeah, when that one came out.
Right. I did do a Dick Tracy door hanger for the back of a Captain Crunch box.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's
neat. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's something I would have cut out and put on my door.
Yeah.
That
was neat.
Was that for the film?
It was for the film. It was based
on
the Warren Beatty film. Jessica Rabbit got me into Disney. She introduced me around.
Right. Right, that's right. She said that, this is Mark.
And,
here he is.
And then from there, I started doing the princesses and drawing a lot of the princess books and the merchandise for them as well.
I'm sure you must still get calls from them or contacts from them.
What happened was unfortunately, because of the pandemic, as you know, everybody got hit. That was an interesting time. I think what happened was that Disney Parks just rearranged the whole department. And I've been doing work for them on and off, loving it for 25 years.
Yeah.
But I thought I wanted to move on.
Other things. Yep.
Yeah. So I brought the curtain down on that. They were very nice about.
Really? So you broke up with them?
Yeah, it was very sweet.
Wow.
I realized that when I saw what was happening with the pandemic, and some people, that was a horrible time for so many people, particularly health-wise, obviously.
Yeah.
That. It was also a time of reevaluation.
Sure.
Yeah, I broke up with them. I just sent them a letter and said, I think the work, they had shifted how they produced artwork too.
Sure.
And so that was starting to get lighter and lighter. And I love Disney. If they called tomorrow, I'd still be doing drawings for them and stuff. Yeah. But at the same time, I wanted to move into other areas, and I was reevaluating how I was approaching my work and what kind of work I was doing, particularly wanting to write those books.
Right.
So, it was great. It was a great 25 years producing artwork that was seen all over the world thanks to their machine.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
You told them. Wow.
There were a ton of talented people doing a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I just was like trying to keep up, man. They were
Yeah.
just I mean, when I look at some of the stuff that, when I started working for Disney, it was incredible. It was like the most talented people were all that you'd see in like each, in the company or in high school, they're all like grouped together in one room at Disney. It was phenomenal.
Oh my God. A think tank.
Yeah, think tank. And I could reel off names in my department alone, the department that I was freelancing for, there was like 50 people that were the creme de la creme. And I was just trying to keep up with them. They were great.
Sure. Wow.
I felt like I wasn't competing with them. I was only competing with myself.
Sure.
So that I quickly realized that comparing myself to others was foolish because it just gets you nowhere. It doesn't help you draw better.
Right.
It doesn't help you write better. What I did was that I would compare my own progress, and I quickly realized it's not a zero-sum game.
Sure.
It really isn't. The better they do, the better artwork gets out there, the better it is for me. Because then I am inspired to continue to go higher and match their standards. And that was the thing. It's like when I first started working for Disney, they were just happy to get merchandise out. And then quickly, within 6 months, everybody was like, they started to exert quality control to the point, sometimes you can go overboard. They sometimes went overboard, like, the wind and the blade of grass in the back of the horse that Phoebus is riding and Esmeralda is standing next to him. The grass should be a little bit more like, it can get carried away. Yeah. But there was this higher race and desire to become better and better. And the standards for their artwork particularly kept getting higher and higher. They were looking to make sure that the characters were on model, that children would recognize Mickey Mouse instantly. And it was great because it was such a fun challenge to meet that standard. Because you figure if you can do that, then you'd be able to do anything. And that's where I started out, I started out thinking, if I want to be able to draw good enough to work for Disney. Right. And because the more you learn like that, the more you take in, the more experience you have, whether you're trying to play the piano or you're learning a musical instrument or driving a car, whatever it is, the more it sounds so simplistic, Zach, but the more you practice and the more you focus on how well you're doing, the better you get. It's as simple as that. I mean, but so many times people look at what other people are doing, and that's a distraction. Learn from them, but don't let them get you down. Learn from their experience. I know this woman, very nice woman. She does like balloon magic for children's parties. Just the artistry involved in making these giant balloons that I don't know how they don't pop. And that's the great thing about it. I want to get to the point where I can do something that's like, this won't pop.
Right. I think you have. Yeah. I think you have. But I know when you're an artist, you think like, all right, the best is still around the corner. I still have to do, because you always want to go to the next
level, next plateau. Level. And that's the thing. You never reach the top. Just congratulate yourself for reaching the next level and then aim for the next.
Right. Another important thing you just brought up is pacing yourself.
Yes.
Giving yourself plenty of time and doing it brick by brick and not trying to do it in one day.
Right, exactly.
Because you're just setting yourself up there.
Yeah. They call it, at Disney, they call it pencil mileage. And there's only when you have to draw a book, that is an X amount of miles, pencil miles, drawing it. No matter how fast you speed up your arm or you're scribbling away quicker and quicker, you cannot squish that time.
Right.
If it takes you 10 minutes to draw a character, you can't draw it in 5 without it being obvious. So you have to pace yourself. Exactly.
So Superman. We all love Superman. Do you have a favorite era of Superman?
The early iteration of the character.
Siegel and Schuster's.
Yeah, Siegel and Schuster's, the Fleischer Studios version. I just love the fact that it was just like a S drawn by hand on his chest.
Yep.
Nothing that looked like hieroglyphics, just S, cape, tights, and he's off.
Right. Right. One thing I love about that era is if there's a bully around, he's just going to grab him by the scruff of the neck and tell him what's up.
First issue of Superman, he saved a woman from the electric chair.
Yeah.
He saved another woman from getting beaten.
Yes, love that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he was such a social justice warrior.
Love that.
It was very much a reaction. The two fellows that created him, Jerry Siegel and Jerome Schuster, were very much a product of the Depression, and this was their reaction to it. I can understand why people would work for DC or Marvel because it's fun playing in that playpen with their characters.
Sure.
At the same time, I love these people that are creating their own characters that are looking, as you said, are hungry to get their stories and ideas out there. And thankfully, with the day and age we live in, it doesn't cost you a fortune to. I mean, when I printed my own comic book, it just. Oh my goodness, my publisher it was amazing what he had to spend in the minimum runs. Now, we can just post them on the web. We can get our work out there.
You want to talk a little bit about Delta 10? Lady Cop?
Lady Cop, yep, exactly. One of my favorite projects to work on was I did 10 issues of Delta 10. And
fits with the name.
Yeah, fits with the name. This is like an amazing coincidence because I brought actually.
Oh, great.
I love this so much. I brought an original. This is an original page from Delta 10. I'm still working on filling in the. I was still working on filling in the blacks, but this is an original page. I mean, it's twice up the size of a comic book.
Sure.
And this was her in a down moment, being reflective about her career. That's her younger self reflected in the glass. Mm-hmm. And she's talking about having to go back to work now because she was fighting crime. This was a good example of like, this was done largely in the late 80s. I was working on this. Yeah. Into the like 90, 91, 92. And I still do like covers and stuff. To this day, I love this character, Delta 10. And I'd love to draw either a graphic novel or write a novel using this character because I think she's based upon the, I'm sorry, Achilles.
Troy? Oh, yeah, Achilles.
Achilles, yeah. Her father, his father was a king, his mother was a goddess of the sea, and so her father was a kingpin of crime, and her mother was an Olympic swimmer.
Oh, wow, that's a lot to live up to.
Yes. So she became, but because of tragedy in her life, she was raised by her aunt, and she becomes a police officer. Oh, wow. And one of the things about Delta 10 was Gene Simmons of
KISS?
KISS. Yes. Gene Simmons of KISS. His wife, Shannon Tweed.
What's the model?
Yeah, well, she was the model. And then art imitated life and life imitated art when they optioned this to become a made-for-TV movie. Oh, cool. They called me up. I got to talk with them. And
was that NBC? Who was that?
That was for... Well, what happened was Gene Simmons was a really nice guy. I assume he still is, but we got to go backstage at one of his concerts.
Oh, sweet. Was he in the makeup? Or was that the makeup list time?
That was the makeup list time.
Gotcha.
Yes, and that was like we were right backstage, right on the wings. I can see why people become rock stars. I mean, 50,000 people screaming your name. Yeah. That's pretty heady stuff. And really nice guy. He had approached ABC about making it like a pilot, with Shannon Tweed in the title role, and for 2 years it came this close. I mean, they had a script ready, they had taken footage of her as a police officer set in the future, and they were ready to go. And ABC was like, great, they gave the green light to start shooting the pilot. We were 1 week away from shooting on location up in Canada when ABC at the last moment decided to go with the Stephen Bachko show called Cop Rock, where the police officers would break into song.
That's an interesting, because I know he's done other shows that were decent.
Well, he had done
good shows.
NYPD Blue, and so I don't blame ABC for saying, hey, let's go with this.
Right.
And
it's Bachko. We can't go wrong.
Right? Yeah.
He did LA Law.
Well, it was a show called Cop Rock, and I think it lasted 3 episodes where the police officer would break into song and stuff. So we came this close.
Did you get any input, or did they ask or allow you any input on the script?
No, that was what was really cool about it, is that they had hired the guys to do the script writing, and Shannon Tweed was on national TV in an interview show, And she held up a copy of my comic book, and she was talking about it. And then she was interviewed in a newspaper. Sorry, I think it was Starlog magazine. She was interviewed in Starlog magazine.
Yep.
And she said, they asked her how Mark Marderosian created it, how involved will he be? And she said, oh, he'll be very involved with the script. So they were just about to start the script, and they were just about, and unfortunately, ABC in their infinite wisdom decided to go with a musical.
That's so strange. It's like we got to pick one cop show. We can't have both.
Right. Yeah.
we can't possibly do both. We can only do one.
The rights reverted back to me. And
that's awesome, though.
Funny, though, the character, I think, remains timeless. I drew Delta Tenn, and she's this leggy blonde cop.
Yep.
And the day the deal fell through with ABC, I thought, oh, darn it. That was just one of the milder things. Yeah, this close.
One of the more milder things you may have thought at that time.
Right.
Shucks.
And then a week later, I'm regrouping, thinking about, doing more issues of Delta Tenn. And a week later, I get a call from the art director of Disney saying, hey, I know you like to draw leggy women. Would you like to draw Jessica Rabbit? We're getting all this merchandise coming up. And I thought, well, one thing to the other just getting yourself out there, letting people know. Because honestly, Delta Tenn was a labor of love.
Yep.
But it brought me to that next plateau, to go to the next level and to the next one. You can't give up. You just can't.
Did you meet or have any experience passing by Mirage Studios with Eastman and Laird and Ninja Turtles?
Wow, that's wild, because in 1985, the first issue came out.
Yep.
And a good friend of mine was running a comic book conventions once every other month. And the first issue came out and made a big splash. And that's the one and only time I ever interacted with those guys, was because I was helping my friend at the show.
Sure.
So they sat down at the table. I went over and introduced myself. And I said, so how's it going? I said, you get your first issue out? He goes, and Kevin said, yeah, we got the second issue coming out. And I hadn't read it. And I just said to them, I think it looks good. I wish you guys a lot of luck. It might do well. He goes, yeah, I think we're going to try to do animation. I said, well, that's a lot to bite off at the, because I've done animation. But, I really, honest to God, I was I was just like in a zone or something, because I said to him, that's a lot to bite off. But you might want to hold back there, Kevin.
Right.
That's too big a dream.
Don't do the animation. Okay.
That happens to me a lot. And he goes, no, I think we'll try it. I said, well, I wish you a lot of luck. I really mean it. Peter was a nice guy. And I said, I wish you guys luck, and good luck. And I walked away thinking, gee, I don't know. That name, it might hold them back. I don't know. They might think but that happens to me a lot. Like I was at a party watching a 16 millimeter print of Pinocchio, and this guy,
cool!
Yeah, it was great party. And this guy next to me I was at a party. It was just I was invited, but I didn't know many people there. And this guy sitting next to me, we're watching Pinocchio together, and he told me his name was Greg, which I said, hey, Greg, how you doing? And he's like, oh, I love this movie. I love The Blue Fairy. Someday I'd like to draw something like this and maybe even do a movie like this. And I thought, thinking to myself, well, that's a nice dream, Greg. I was sitting next to Greg Hildebrandt, who drew the original Star Wars poster. I didn't even know it.
Wow.
Like, oh, sure, Greg. Good luck.
Wow.
It was Greg Hildebrandt.
Oh, my gosh. They did the Lord of the Rings stuff they did especially.
Right.
It's just amazing.
He was the nicest guy.
When a lot of that was going on, were you was this in California?
No, that was the biggest invention that altered my life. Not the computer, not the iPhone, none of that. The biggest invention that altered my career trajectory in my life was the invention of the fax machine becoming big, because that enabled me to send drawings to people. Up to that moment, you had to live in California or had to live in Florida, or you had to live in New York. Being able to just fax drawings to people eliminated. So at one point, one of my clients said, gee, it's like you're down a hall from me. It's a long haul, but it's like, the fax machine, Zach, made all the difference. It really did. And enabled me to stay in this area, do my work, send it to them, and then FedEx it out. And they just give me instant approvals. So when the computer came on with internet and stuff,
even faster.
It was even faster. And but yeah, the fax machine sped up my career by at least 10 years. I'm telling you, the fax machine
It changed the world.
Changed my world, yeah.
So how long have you lived in the Marlborough area?
Oh, I've been here it's coming up to about 10 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Marlborough.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marlborough is great. I go into the shops around here, and it's just, I'm not trying, it's just the truth. Everybody's just glad to see you. It's nice.
They're
I really love
get away.
I mean, every city has its issues.
Has its Ben Grimms.
Yeah, has its Ben Grimms, right, exactly. But no, I love Marlborough. I'm really glad I moved here.
We're glad you're here.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
This reminds me of one job I had where I had this job. It took an hour to get there, but the people there were so nice that I didn't mind driving the hour. Then I had a job that was 5 minutes from my home, and the people were so miserable that I dread. That 5-minute drive felt like 3 hours. It never fails. So I love being here because the people are making the difference.
I want to thank you, Mark, for coming. Is there
My pleasure.
Anything else you'd like to add or show or talk about?
No, this has been great. I love talking about comic cartooning and all pop culture with you. This
I could have talked for eight hours, I think.
This has been a blast.
Thank you so much, Mark, for coming. Thank you, and hopefully we can have you again sometime.
Definitely.
On the show.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, for a great night. And until next week, keep on kicking. I'll see you then.
So sorry that I committed faithfully. So sorry that I was last. Now you come expecting forgiveness, but I have none to spare. It's changing, our time has passed. So sorry that I was late. Now you come expecting forgiveness, but I have none to spare. When it's changing, our time has passed. Our time has passed.
Thank you.